What's up, guys? I'm Josh Pate. That's Steve Wiltfong. It is the weekly Wiltfong Recruiting Whiparound. We got a loaded show this morning and maybe this afternoon, depending on when you're watching. Thank you for watching. Got a lot of exciting coverage coming for you in 2021. Steve, I want to start with this, though. I got a number of names to throw at you, so let's go rapid fire. Damani Jackson, a lot of our viewers ask about him. Very latest there.
Yeah, he's the number one corner in the 2022 cycle right now. Number 3 prospect overall. Dropped a decision date yesterday of January 23rd. Our lead expert on that, Greg Biggins, confirmed that Damani Jackson is announcing his decision at that time. And I've posted on the 24/7 Sports Blue Board, even going back to Christmas when asked about Damani Jackson, what I thought he would do. And even though the crystal ball trended Ohio State a little bit in the fall, including my forecast, which is at a 1 right now. It's going to be at US. My prediction is going to be at USC shortly. And even on Christmas Day, I responded to a question that I wouldn't be surprised if Damani ended up at USC. And then talking to a coach close to him yesterday, he said it was always going to come down to USC or Arizona State for him, despite tremendous interest in Ohio State and Michigan. And he visited Michigan during the fall, had a great visit there. And this is a kid that can fit in at a lot of places, with his personality and obviously with his skill set. And he's got great connections already with prospects across the country, good reports with them. So whichever school he picks, and my prediction is, as we talk right now, is USC, is going to get a guy that's going to be a hellacious peer recruiter. And so if you're USC, you land Corey Foreman at the end of this 2021 cycle, and you have the number 8 class in the country, and then you're sitting at number 8 right now, early in 2022. Damani Jackson's the number 1 player in the area. It's cool to pick USC again. We've touched on that several times on various platforms. Dante Williams is one of the best flat-out recruiters in the country. He has a great relationship with Damani and his family. I just like the way it's going for USC. Arizona State's the other school that's in the mix with the 2 Big Ten powers, Ohio State and Michigan.
Let's stay in the defensive backfield, Steve. It's a name I think you and I talk about pretty much every week now with good reason. Tyrion Arnold, high 4-star DB out of Florida. What's the latest there?
I think Tyrion Arnold's going to finish with a 5th star when we update our top 247 player rankings that we're working on right now. He's in that position. He's a top 32 player in our mind. He's arguably the top safety in the land. He dropped his top 3 recently. It's Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. All indications that I was getting from the Tyrion Arnold camp that Florida was the slight leader. Florida's had some change with their DB coaches, and he was close with them, but they pivoted quickly to Coach McGriff from Auburn. Tyrion told me he loves Coach McGriff. They had a great report. He just wasn't feeling Auburn, so perhaps that's seamless for him at Florida with the opportunity to stay closer to home and play for the Gators. But Alabama's was the leader in the spring. They're way in this. He's one of the last remaining targets for Nick Saban and company. And Nick Saban, obviously, just the handprint he has on DBs. Tyrion Arnold wants to play basketball in college. He loves the plan that Alabama has for him there. And then Georgia, he's really close with this Georgia class. That's ranked number 4 nationally right now. And Xavier Sori is one of his good friends in the class. Brock Vandegrift and some of those guys he spent time with on a visit to Athens during the pandemic. Every time I talk to him about Georgia, he mentions how Kirby Smart's going to build the defense around him. He truly believes he's going to be the key piece to Georgia's defense if he picks the Bulldogs and has a relationship with several of their coaches. So this one's super tight. I have a low confidence pick for Florida. I'm not married to it. I don't know what he's going to do. We know he's announcing on February 3rd, National Signing Day. That could still go a number of different ways, but I think Florida getting Coach McGriff keeps them right there in a good spot as they try and hold off Alabama and Georgia.
All right, so 2 other names, Steve, that we've talked about, but I don't think we've talked about in the last couple of weeks. One is Taiwan Malone. The other is LJ Johnson. What do we know there?
Yeah, so I was actually getting some Texas A&M buzz for Taiwan Malone. That was before he visited Florida State over the weekend. But Taiwan Malone, he's a top 100 defensive tackle. He's a number 1 recruit in the state of New Jersey. He is going to play baseball in college. He looks like Frank Thomas in the cage with that plus power. I think the relationship with Elijah Robinson, He's done Zooms with Jimbo Fisher and the Texas A&M baseball coach at the same time. He's been there before. He's going to go back this weekend, per Brian Doan, our lead expert on Taiwan's recruitment. I just think they're in a really good spot. Florida State, that was a great visit. Their baseball coaching staff is legendary. He's a good bond with them. Those guys are recruiting him hard. And then you have Ole Miss, who was maybe the perceived leader for a little bit here in the fall. I give the slight edge to A&M over Ole Miss. So did Florida State make a move? He is going to go back to Oxford in 2 weeks, I believe. Rutgers is kind of that fourth contender for him if he wants to stay home. And then last thing on Taiwan Malone, I actually think he's making a baseball decision and going to play football. And maybe his upside is still highest at football. So we'll see what happens when he gets into college and he's playing both sports. But college baseball programs love him for his power. And football programs love him because he's just one of the elite defensive line prospects in this class. But I think he's going to make a baseball decision, and football staffs are going to just have to roll with that and see where the chips fall. LJ Johnson's the top remaining uncommitted running back in this class. He graduated early. He's not declared a commitment anywhere. Texas was clearly the team to beat in the fall. Talked to his dad about 2 weeks ago, or maybe a little less than that. Said it was super tight with A&M in Texas. Stan Drayton staying at Texas, I think, helps the Longhorns. They mentioned what Coach Sark has done with Najee and that offense at Alabama. But the relationship with A&M has been super steady all along with Tommy Robinson. And they even mentioned Jimbo Fisher's history of backs pointing to Dalvin Cook. So I think the consensus is that people think he's going to enroll early somewhere, which I believe both Texas and Texas A&M start on Monday of next week. So I'm imagining a decision soon. In state will be Texas A&M. I think we'll know soon for LJ Johnson.
So a big time recent development here, Steve, since the last time that you and I talked was Gunnar Stockton, 5-star quarterback for the upcoming cycle, the 2022 cycle, decommitting from South Carolina, falls right in line with when Mike Bobo left South Carolina. Bobo's at Auburn now. I think the prevailing wisdom is, hey, Gunnar Stockton must be headed to Auburn. So what's the very latest on your end?
Hey, well, Gunnar Stockton's got an autographed photo of Mike Bobo in his room. How many people have an autographed photo of Mike Bobo in their room? The relationship with the Bobo family has been so long, and they just have great respect for Coach Bobo, not only as a football coach, but just for the way he handles his players. And so I think that's incredibly attractive for Gunnar Stockton and his family. But he's got a ton of options, and he doesn't have to just flip to Auburn. There's other schools trying to get in the mix for him. And so we'll see what happens. I was under the impression the day before he decommitted that something could happen within a couple weeks. I didn't necessarily see the decommitment coming as quick as it did. So now he's open instead of just doing a straight flip. So I think that, people are going to try and call the Stockton camp, and we'll see how they respond to it. We definitely know Auburn and Coach Mike Bobo is who they love. So you got to figure they're in a good spot, and that's where the crystal balls are going right now. But he could have just flipped to them, and he didn't. So, we'll see if some other schools have created a path for themselves to land his pledge.
Last thing, Steve, maybe like a minute and a half on this. Like, we were talking about Texas A&M a little bit earlier and their involvement with a number of players. Like, we've seen them wrap up good recruiting classes so far. But I think there's a feeling, albeit still early, that this 2022 cycle, they could really get rolling in this thing.
Yeah, man. I mean, first of all, they're working on a third straight top 10 class right now. And if they can add Taiwan Malone to that, it's super, particularly on the defensive line where they've just recruited at a high level across the board on that side of the ball. Yesterday, I forecasted Malik Silla. He's the number 3 defensive end in the country for the top 247, number 13 player overall from in-state to the Aggies, joining a couple of our colleagues, Brian Peroni from Gig'em 247. They don't have a commit yet, but they could be on the verge of getting super hot here. I also forecasted 4-star defensive back Bobby Taylor joining the crew there, but they're in a good spot for, Donovan Green and the tight end, Cam Dewberry and PJ Williams are a couple in-state offensive linemen that are high on the Aggies. Bryce Anderson is a high priority defensive back for Texas A&M. He's committed to LSU right now, but I don't think there's many prospects on the board, regardless of position, higher than Bryce Anderson. And those are some of the best players in state. And so why Coach Sark has gotten a lot of the headlines, and rightfully so, coming off winning a national title and then being the new coach. Anytime you're a new coach at a powerhouse program like Texas, you get that bump. A&M, they're just doing what they're doing, man. They're not scared. They're not scared of Coach Sark and what's happening in Austin. And, they're going to recruit another great class in 2022. And, I listened to your show, Late Kick, and A&M's, a team that's a playoff contender coming into the year. And with that, they're recruiting at that level still in 2022. And I think they're on the verge of getting rolling.
Steve Wiltfong, he's the man. He proves it here every single week. Tune in weekly to the Wiltfong Recruiting Whiparound. Stephen, I will see you a week from now, my friend.
Take care, and we'll see y'all on the 24/7 Sports Blue Board. Have a good one.